All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we are tackling what is, for a lot of people, the single biggest financial decision of their entire life: buying versus renting a home. The stakes are just incredibly high. Get it wrong, and it can be a really costly mistake. So let's break it all down. So here's the big question, right? What is the right move for you in 2025? It's the question on pretty much everyone's mind, especially when you look at a market that feels more unpredictable than ever before. Look, the answer is complicated for sure, but don't worry, we're going to try and make it simple for you. Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to kick things off with the financials, and we're going to challenge some, old school beliefs. Then we'll dive into the hidden costs of owning and what I like to call renting's secret financial weapon. After that, we'll get into the stuff that's more than just money: the psychological side, the lifestyle trade-offs. And then at the very end, we'll help you figure out what you truly value most. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the ultimate financial decision. For generations, we've all been told the same thing, right? Buying a house is always a great investment. It's the cornerstone of building wealth. But what if that's not really the whole story? We're going to start by challenging that exact idea. And, it often just completely ignores a mountain of hidden costs. And these are costs that can totally change the math on you. Okay, so let's actually talk about those hidden costs. When you write that mortgage check every month, you probably feel pretty good about it, You think, hey, I'm building wealth. But the reality, well, it's way more complicated. Let's take a look at where that money really goes. Just look at this breakdown. With the interest rates we're seeing, only about 35% of your payment is actually building your own wealth. That's the principal. A staggering 40%? That's just interest you're paying straight to the bank. Then you add in taxes, insurance, maybe some HOA fees, and you suddenly realize the majority of your payment is money you will never, ever see again. So really think about that for a second. We've all heard it a million times. Renting is just throwing money away. But the truth is, a huge, huge chunk of your mortgage payment, all that interest, the taxes, the insurance, is also being thrown away. These are what we call sunk costs. They are gone forever. So let's list them out, make it super clear. These are the 5 big ones. You've got property taxes that you pay to the state. You've got those big one-time real estate and closing fees. There's homeowners insurance, which can easily be hundreds of dollars a month. Of course, the massive cost of mortgage interest we just talked about. And finally, the one that never stops: the constant drain of maintenance and repairs. And let's just zoom in on that maintenance piece for a second. There's a rule of thumb, right? It says you need to budget at least 1% of your home's value every single year just for repairs. So think about it. For a $500,000 house, that's an extra $5,000 you have to come up with year after year just for stuff breaking. Okay, so we've established that owning has a ton of hidden costs. So what's the financial upside to renting? Well, it all comes down to a kind of secret weapon. It's this really powerful concept that's, often completely ignored in this whole debate: opportunity cost. So what is opportunity cost? It sounds complicated, but it's not. Simply put, it's the potential gain you miss out on when you choose one alternative over another. In this case, it's all about what your money could have been doing if you hadn't tied it all up in a house. Let's make this really real. For a pretty typical $500,000 home, you're going to need a 20% down payment. That's $100,000. Just let that sink in for a second. It is a huge amount of capital to lock up into one single asset that's not easy to sell. Okay, so now I want you to imagine you're at a crossroads with that $100,000. Path number 1, you put it into a house as a down payment. Path number 2, you decide to rent instead, and you invest that same $100,000 into a simple S&P 500 index fund. What do you think happens over the next 30 years? Well, the answer might actually shock you. Based on historical stock market returns, that $100,000, it doesn't just grow. It could become over $1.7 million. That is the opportunity cost. That's the potential wealth you give up to buy a house. From a pure numbers perspective, it's an absolutely staggering difference. But hold on a second. Life isn't just a spreadsheet, right? While the numbers might seem pretty clear, this decision is about so much more than money. And that brings us to the psychological case for buying a home. This is all about what a home gives you that renting, well, it just can't. See, owning a home, it provides this deep sense of stability and peace of mind. It gives you the freedom to make a space truly yours. You can paint the walls any crazy color you want, renovate the kitchen, plant a garden, whatever. And maybe most importantly, it gives you a stable foundation, a place to build family memories. It really gets to the emotional heart of the whole thing. For a lot of people, especially if you have a family, giving your kids a stable place to call their own without ever having to worry about a landlord forcing you to move, that feeling, it outweighs any financial spreadsheet. For them, that is the real return on their investment. Okay, so this brings us to our final big trade-off, and this one is all about your day-to-day life. It really boils down to a simple battle: control versus convenience. And the difference in lifestyle here is it's pretty stark. Owning a home gives you total control, but every single broken pipe, every leaky roof, it's your problem to solve and, more importantly, your problem to pay for. Renting, on the other hand, means less control, sure, but it also means a lot less stress, repairs, major issues. There's someone else's headache. It really is freedom versus flexibility. Here's maybe the simplest way to think about it. When you own a home, you are the landlord. That leaky roof, the broken fridge, yep, it is all on you. When you rent, well, the landlord is just a phone call away. So all of this brings us to our final section, our conclusion. What do you value most? Because after weighing the, frankly, surprising financials against the really powerful psychological benefits, it becomes crystal clear that there is no single right answer here. The best choice isn't universal. It is deeply, deeply personal. So let's just simplify this as much as we can. Step 1, if your number one goal in life right now is maximizing your net worth, well, the math pretty clearly suggests you should rent. And then diligently, you have to be disciplined, invest all the money you save. But step 2, if your top priority is stability and freedom and creating a long-term family home, then buying is probably the better choice for your life. So, after all the numbers and all the feelings, it really just comes down to this one single question. What do you value most? Is it the path to maximum financial wealth, or is it the path to a place that you can truly, truly call your own? The right answer? It's not in some spreadsheet. It's in you. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.